Alright, hello everybody, you've got Ben here, flying solo on a quick play for Persona 5 Strikers, also known as Persona 5 Scramble in Japan, if I remember rightly. It is a rather odd little spin-off sequel to the much loved Persona 5 and Persona 5 Royal, the latest entry in the Persona franchise. I've not played a Persona game before 5 myself, but I got Royal on a bit of a whim and really liked it. So this is a bit of an oddball affair. It is a soft sequel follow-up to Persona 5 Royal, Persona 5 main game, whatever you want to call it, and it's not your typical Persona game. It is a Warriors game, a Musou game. It is fighting vast numbers of enemies, but having played a lot of Musou games over the years, most recently playing Age of Calamity, Zelda Age of Calamity, this is probably the biggest departure. This is far more Persona than it is a Warriors game. So it is sneaking around levels like you do in Persona. It is running on a calendar system. And it is using elemental weaknesses to take advantage of things. So I mean, you can ambush people, and that's how you kind of get the drop on enemies going into a fight. So I'll show you what the combat is. So this is where it kind of goes into the Warriors gameplay a little bit more. You go into like self-contained little fights, and you can do everything you can from the main game. So there's an all-out attack for anybody who's familiar with Persona. And I would say that up front, you really do need at least a passing familiarity with what Persona gameplay is in order to follow what the hell is going on in this game, quite frankly. Not only in a gameplay aspect, but obviously it is actually a direct sequel to the main game as well. It's a weird little beast, if I'm honest. A really weird beast, but I both really like it and have a few problems with it as well. So yeah, I mean, you basically, like a typical Warriors game, you end up in areas. It's hard to compare this to a typical Warriors game. However, it's a weird hybrid, but it's a bit like anyone who's played Persona. You obviously have the big dungeons you go through, and they're all divided into sections and all that side of things. And you jump through them, you sneak through them, and you can take on enemies and ambush them, or they can get the drop on you, and that changes how you start fights. And this is all like that. It's strange. So what is pretty cool though is in obviously the main game Persona, you always play as Joker, the leader, who I'm playing as at the moment. But what's cool about this is I can finally play as Mona, the best character in Persona 5. Yeah, you can play as all the Phantom Thieves and all the main cast of characters, and there's a new character who's joined the main party as well. So yeah, it's strange. You sneak around, you do kind of like exploration. It's heavily. I'm 10 hours deep. This is a few hours into the game. This is very early in the first kind of dungeon area of the game. It's very slow to start, like most JRPGs are. But it's starting to open up about 10 hours in, which is similar to what Persona 5 was like. I'm pretty sure I was getting tutorials in Persona 5 till about the 30-hour mark, 35-hour mark. So 10 hours in and the game seems to be opening up isn't too bad as far as this franchise goes. But yeah, it's weird. It's more Persona 5 in spirit and tone, and I must admit the guys at Omega Force who do all the Warriors games done a really good job of capturing the essence of the franchise. As I say, this is more a Persona game than it is a Warrior game, and I think people who go into Warrior games regardless of franchise and affinity of franchise are going to be more put off here than they maybe have ever been before, because it is just that different. It's not like, say I played Age of Calamity before. It's not like Age of Calamity, which I'm going to struggle to get their weakness actually. So I'm just going to have to take them out the old-fashioned way. Ooh, Pixies. They are weak against Curse and Ice. So let's switch to Fox. Yeah, so I think people who are just Warriors fans and maybe dip into it regardless of... Yeah, I know that. I didn't see tutorial popping up in typical Persona fashion. But I mean, like, Persona 5 is loved because of its style more than its substance, I would say. I really like Persona 5, but its style is what definitely... Pokemon 3's had an update, great. Persona 5 style is what separates it apart. Its flow, its like, you know, its spunk, the fact that it's this really fast-paced, this really aggressive JRPG and turn-based battle system, and this game really does capture that as well. So yeah, I keep saying this, and I'm very much repeating myself at this stage. It's a strange little hybrid. I am playing on PS5, and actually that's something I should say. So yeah, as you can see, it follows through with the style of all the menus being heavily stylized. There's my friend Pete. You know, everything's really super stylized, and it's just kind of cool. Everything about it, you know. Again, I'm very much repeating myself, but this game is a Persona 5 sequel through and through. It's a lesser game, I think, than Persona 5, but it's cool. It's more Phantom Thieves, it's more Persona, which I can dig. And I'm playing on PS5. It's available on PlayStation and Switch. I don't think there's any plans to release it on anything else, but playing on PlayStation 5 or PlayStation 4 Pro, you can come into the options, and I'm going to be able to find it. Game mode. You can set frame rate or graphics. Actually, funny enough, I'm playing on frame rate. That's because I'm on an earlier file. But if you go to graphics, this game runs at pretty steady 60 on regardless of platform. Well, any PlayStation platform you're on. I don't think the Switch version holds up particularly well, just from what I've been hearing. But on any PlayStation platform, it holds 60 in frame rate. If you bump this up to graphics, which you just have there, play it on PlayStation 5 or PlayStation 4 Pro, I believe the frame rate is uncapped and hits 60 anyway, and you can play in 4K. One of the weird things this game does, you'll sometimes see how I'm starting to walk there. I am not starting to walk. It has this weird drag on the walk, and you kind of wiggle the stick. I have no idea if this game is just very, very sensitive and my joysticks are starting to drift or something, but it's weird. No other game does it, so I don't know if that's a weird thing I don't like about this game. But I've just come out where I ended. That's not good. I tell you what, I'll just jump to a checkpoint. So yeah, you make your way around palaces. Obviously, there's a heavy story. It's very, very slow pace to start. The story picks up after Persona 5, Persona 5 Royal. It's summer vacation. The Phantom Thieves are meeting back up in the summer holidays, and they get embroiled in some more shenanigans going into the cognitive realm, the dream world, where they become the Phantom Thieves and you can get all their get up and gear. All the voice actors returned. It's nice. I must admit, when I first started playing this, I played Persona 4 Royal literally a year ago now. I think it came out about this time last year. And just seeing, and that game's 120 hours long, and you get to know these characters and you get to love these characters. Playing for that long, how could you not? You're either going to get off the bandwagon way earlier, or plough on through. And I plowed on through and loved it. And booting this game up, like 10 months on, 8 months on since I finished Royal, it just made me smile. It gave me a sense of joy that I haven't, had for a long time. It was like reuniting with old friends. It was really nice, and it was a nice feeling, there we go. So this is a game that you will get a lot of. Oh, this could be trouble. Oh god, I've been knocked out. So there's all sorts of tutorials. I mean, everything is ripped from Persona 5 as well. These are all the menus. This is more a Persona game than a Musou game. Oh god, I'm getting absolutely hammered here. I think that's the thing. Oh shit, Joker's like gone. And that's the thing in this game, you've got to pay attention to the elemental affinities. I've got nothing. Oh, right, Panther, swap out. So that's a baton pass. So that's a mechanic from the main game where you swap to another character. They get a little bit of a damage boost while you do that. Except in this game, you can do it at pretty much any time to swap to different characters. And you exploit weaknesses, and then you can do all-out attacks, which is this craziness. And it's just this weird, like, this. I think the best way I can sum up this game is, this game has the kind of frenetic energy that the turn-based battles of Persona 5 Royal have. This is how, oh god, this is how I, nice. This is how I imagined in my head the turn-based battles playing out, like in reality, if you know what I mean. Like that kind of, like, there's always, with turn-based battles, there's always like a divorce of, it's like a, an equivalency. It's like a model of what fight is actually happening, and this game feels like it captures the fights that would have been happening should Persona 5 been like a TV show or a movie or an anime. It does have that kind of frenetic energy. It's pretty goddamn hard if you don't manage your stamina, you don't manage your resources, you don't exploit the different openings that you get. Much like the later part of the main game, you can get really fucked up. The main game is definitely a lot more gentle with how it introduces those. This just throws it in. But everyone gets like levels up, learns new spells. Like everything is here. It doesn't feel compromised. It's just a very different kind of game. But with that, it's not without problems. Now, my main big issue is when you're in dungeon, it's just this. It's action. It's kind of semi-Persona, semi-Dynasty Warriors. You know, it's running around, having a good time. Action RPG combat, which is, for the action part, serviceable. The RPG side is good because it just borrows from the main games. I think the frustration I've got with this game is the wrapping around it. Now, the thing I think which made me sit and play Persona 5 for 120 hours was that it runs on a calendar system that's been adopted by things like Fire Emblem Three Houses in recent years. This game also has that, so if you return from the jail, you're leaving this place to go back to the real world, and that's where you kind of do the social aspect. Now, the trouble is, the social aspect's kind of like, it's almost like skin deep here. Days don't roll on by unless you progress in the story. There's no calendar system. There's none of that pressure to make the most of your time and manage your time, because time will tick on and you've got to hit objectives. It's kind of just there, and you can kind of just wander around like different areas, like doing your own thing in your own time, and there's no consequence, and it's all a little bit frustrating. But I think the biggest frustration is, before I left, some of my characters were low on health and low on stamina. In the main game, that was like almost like a gating mechanic. You had to manage those things in order to make the best use of your time. Here, you leave the dungeon, you literally just go back in, like we're about to here, and you've recovered. So it feels like an unnecessary step of just making me sit through loading screens in order to refresh my health. I wish there was a way to do it in the dungeon, because it just feels arbitrary. It feels like there's a rudimentary understanding of what Persona 5 or what Persona games do with the calendar system here, and either they didn't try to get it to work, or they just couldn't, and they kept what they at least built into it. It's weird, man. I don't know if I particularly like it, but you know, it's there. I do like the fact that you can play as all the characters, and again, it's all of the Phantom Thieves from the off. And then this new character, Sophia. So I'll tell you what, let's get rid of Yusuke and let's get Sophia in. And she's this weird, like, she's a phone AI basically. She gets introduced very early on in the game, so it's not a particularly bad spoiler or anything like that. But yeah, she's like this strange kind of naive character who the Phantom Thieves have taken under the wing, and it's odd. But I mean, the general gist of this is, in the main game, you're going through, you're taking on kind of corrupt adults in unfair society, and you're taking down kind of, you know, people who abuse the system almost. In this, you are doing something similar, but this time you are infiltrating jails rather than palaces, and they're broken up into sections, and you've got to steal various like items of power before the main jail keep opens up, and then you can take on the boss. I've completed this one jail. I am in the second jail, about 10 hours deep. I think there's about 6 or 7 jails in the game. So this is about a 50-60 hour game. It's about half the size of the main game, but I'll be honest, it's probably enough given the type of game it is and the quality of it. Not to say it's bad, and I am really enjoying this for it being more Persona. But let's get Sophie into the mix. So she uses yo-yos, but yeah. Anyway, getting back to my point. I mean, this is a shorter game than Persona 5 Royal, but that game was a game that, while I loved it, I was thankful when it ended. And this isn't quite got the level of polish that did, so a 50-hour game sounds like more than enough of what we got here. So, you know, it is what it is. But, you know, this is a strange game to do a quick play on, because it's very laid. As I say, there's like 10 hours worth of tutorials. I've kind of shown off what the core gameplay is when things start to open up. You sneak around, you ambush, you get ambushed, you take on things. You take on shadows and monsters. You do some light social storytelling, social management in the overworld, although it's a lot stripped back in this one. And you progress through a very, very linear, very, very JRPG tropey story. You know, it's more Persona. If you played, you know, Royal or 5, this is not going to surprise you in the slightest. Which isn't a bad thing, because that was really fucking good, you know. Like anyone who's watched a lot of any of the videos or the podcasts we do, I don't stick around on a lot of games for long. So for me to sit through a 120-hour JRPG and not only finish it but platinum it, you know, fairly contently, I think that's a ringing endorsement from me, really, and how into things I get, and the fact that I've come back for more in this sequel is, yeah, you know. What more is there to say, really? This is a cool, if flawed, little experiment, and it's nice. Like I think if they brought out a new Persona, full fat Persona, I might have been like, oh, not for me, guys. I'm done, man. I'm all full up on Persona, thanks. But because it's something a little bit different, it's got a little bit of a twist to the formula. Yeah, I can get on board with that. I mean, it's the characters are all the same, like well written, and they're all the same as they were. You know, it's just a slightly different twist of game. And I think actually one thing I'm demonstrating here is there is light platforming elements in places on this game. You know, there's the actual movement through the world is a little bit more tangible. And that's one thing I always liked about Royal as well, is that the sneaking through the palaces and everything. There was almost like a element of stealth game to it. All which this carries over, but it's the physicality of moving through the jails and everything is a little bit more tangible, which is cool. It's just all a little bit of variety, and I think I've got this running in the 4K mode at the moment, and it looks nice. It looks like a Persona game. It's not that they're not the best, you know, looking, but they've got a style to them, and I think that's where this game really, really kind of excels. It's the style, and yeah, that's what's to be expected from a Persona game. And one thing that you've probably heard in the background, maybe not that clearly because of the mix I've got on this video, but the music is back. There's new music. There's remixed hits from the main game. Lynn is back doing a fucking great job. I mean, this is such a fucking cool soundtrack. I mean, listen to that music just kick in, that jazz, that rocky jazz. It's fantastic, and it just fits the atmosphere of the game. It just overlays the Ooze's style. So I mean, you can see here, this is very Dynasty Warriors. When you're fighting these kind of standardized shadows, the standardized enemies, like these cop-looking ones. Oh dear. Nice one, Mona. So yeah, you can see Mona slapping people's status ailments away. This is all stuff that happens in the main game. You've got your gun, if I can actually aim it right, and certain people are weak to it. So yeah, it's more Persona. It's not your dad's Persona though. It's new Persona. And I don't think Atlas, who the developers of Persona, are shy about spin-offs. I think it's a mini boss. Sorry, I didn't even realise. I probably need to go with Joker actually to take this on. Alright, she's okay, fair enough. Get a bit of curse. Oh god. Okay. Yep. So as you can see, there's a lot of tutorials. There we go. So you got to break through their armor. You can see the little shields that were on there before we broke through them, and now she's a sucker for all-out attack. Oh, Panther's leveled up, and you got all the crazy Persona designs, like her goddamn flamenco dominatrix. Yeah, I mean that's one thing that's worth touching on for anybody who is a Persona 5 fan. I mean, I played Royal, which is, you know, extended by quite a way, quite significantly. Where am I even going? This game kind of hedges its bets a little bit in terms of expecting you to have played Royal or the base game. It doesn't really make a lot of reference specifically to anything that happens in Royal, at least not so far. The newer character that was introduced in Royal, Kasumi, she is nowhere to be seen, and none of my, I don't know, it very much probably is the fact that I'm playing on a PS5 now, whereas I played Royal on a 4, my Pro. None of my choices have come across. I don't know if they can, like, there's limited choice in Persona, but like my romance options or anything like that, none of that seems to have carried across in any meaningful way. So I'm starting from scratch. So I've romanced Makoto in the main game, and now we're kind of weird, despite this being a sequel, we're weirdly like standoffish with, not standoffish, but we're weirdly neutral with each other. It's odd, quite frankly. Where am I going? Right, so I'm going over there. So yeah, I mean, you can sneak through a lot of this game like you could the main game, and sometimes that is like stamina management. You know, it's making sure you're not taking on fights that you either shouldn't take part in or can't win, and making best use of your stamina. Oh, nice, right, we're going underground. I know which bit we're in. So I'm trying to get to some of the cutscenes. I mean, you'll kind of see, there we go. So again, it's talking heads a la normal Persona.
Looks more like a sewer to me. There's no easy way to get to the other side.
Well, looks like we're swimming. No, I am not swimming in that.
And you know what? The characters aren't the deepest characters, but I think they are a good cast of characters. They are well written, they are well voiced, they are a fun gang. Not all of them are created equal. Some of them are definitely more interesting than others, like Mona, he's the boy, he's best. And Futaba, I thought I'd really dislike her when she came into the main game, and you know what, she's cool actually. She's one of the more interesting characters, one of the better characters. She's fun. She doesn't get on my nerves like I thought that kind of awkward nerd type character would. In fact, I like all of them more or less. There's none I dislike. Some of them, like Yusuke is a little bit of a sometimes a bit annoying. He's a bit arty-farty for my tastes, but he's still a cool character. He has depth and he has motivations, and he's his own entity in the game, and he makes the central cast more diverse by his inclusion. Haru's a little bit of a non-entity still, even in this game. She came into the main game way too late for her to be meaningfully impacting, and she kind of just hovers in the background still now. Not a terribly bad thing necessarily. I'm just going pinging between them on her, but you know, she's nothing too interesting. Yeah, so these are some of the platforming the platforming sections that I mentioned. A little bit more focus on that. You've got a double jump, some hidden treasures that you can find if you go off the beaten path a little bit, and it is very minor off the beaten path. As you can see, I barely deviated at all there, and I got some treasure. So I tell you what, let's swap Anna. No, let's keep Anna because I need fire. Let's swap Morgana. Let's get Futaba. Sorry, Makoto. I'm reading that, and let's swap Sophie out. And let's get Ryuji. Ryuji's my boy. Ryuji's still the big lovable dumbass that he is. I always like Ryuji. Tell you what else we'll do. So the Velvet Room is back. For anybody who is a Persona 5 or Persona fan. Igor. God, it's been a year nearly. Is not present, but Lavenza is. So you can do all the things. You can create new personas by merging. Let's merge them too. So you can merge different personas. It's like Pokemon. It's demon Pokemon. That's the best way to think of it. So she's an ice one. So let's inherit lightning. Why not?
Is this the persona you'd like?
Yeah, why not?
Now, let us begin.
So while all the other characters, again, this is like the main game. While all the other characters have a particular elemental affinity and weakness, Joker can equip different personas a la Pokemon, and it changes weaknesses as strengths as available spells. So Joker's definitely the cornerstone to your group and can always compensate for the other people you bring with you, so long as you equip the right personas. It's always very twisted how they execute them to create new ones, like Iron Maidens in this. And they get stat bonuses, and it is the system. And you can enhance one, you can level them up with little points. So Arsene is my main one. He's Joker's kind of base. So let's infuse some power, shall we? There we go. And let's get Jack-O-Lantern. Jack-O-Lantern doesn't get enough love. He's a real Billy Basic, but look at him. Look at them. He's literally a pumpkin and a lantern. So yeah, it's got the music, the hymn, the Velvet Room, and it's a really good facsimile of Persona 5. So probably get through the end of this dungeon, and that might be where we end it, because you kind of this is a very rough estimation. I mean, it's a hard game to really say if I love it. I don't think I love this game like I love the main game. I really like it, and it's more Persona, which is a lot of fun. I have a soft spot for the Warriors franchise, so I've played quite a few of them. I played Disney Warriors kind of 2 through 4, and the Extreme Legends expansions of each of those as well. I've more recently, I had a long time off them because I thought the franchise really stagnated. I mean, let's face it, there's only so many Yellow Turban Rebellions you can plow on through, or how many times you can fight Lu Bu at the Hulao Gate. But I have played some of the spin-offs, so Fire Emblem Warriors, Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. I picked up it near Christmas this year and enjoyed them all for what they are. This is certainly the best of those that I've played. So, but at the same time, that's not going to follow through. If you just like Warriors games, I can't say that you will like this necessarily. I think the best thing I can say is 10 hours in, this is a fun a fun complement to Persona 5. You cannot jump into this game without having played that. You just can't. Everything would be so lost on you, and you would be giving yourself you're doing yourself a disservice. Really, you really need to go and play Persona 5 if you've got any interest in this franchise. But as somebody, if you played Persona 5 either Royal last year or the original release, God, what was that, back in 2016, 2017? It's been around a while. Then yeah, get yourself on this. It's not a bad time. I think you will find a lot to like here. The social aspects and the story is not as compelling, but it's a lighter story in both kind of tone and content, and it's just nice to spend time with your old friends, the Phantom Thieves again. The gameplay is enough of Persona that you will like it, even if you're not a fan of Warriors games. I think so I would argue that Warriors fans won't necessarily love this game, but Persona fans will, because it's far more of the latter than the former. So yeah, Persona 5 Strikers isn't a bad time at all. And I believe it's out today. Is it the 23rd? I picked it up a few days earlier. I got early access to this through the PlayStation Store. I bought the special edition because I'm a sucker and I really enjoyed 5, so I thought I'd jump on this because I just wanted to play it as early as possible. So that's why I've already sunk 10 hours or so into it. So yeah, if you want more Persona, you want more Phantom Thieves, this is an easy recommend. It's not as good, it's not as polished or refined, but it's a nice supplement. It's a nice epilogue to that already monumentally vast game. But don't come into this expecting to fresh, expecting to find an experience you would necessarily like. I think the story would be lost on you. I think a lot of the mechanics and the nuance of it would be lost on you. I have gotten tired of the tutorials on this, and that's me buttoning through most of them because I already have a reasonable appreciation for what they're trying to tell me. If you came into this blank, Jesus Christ, it would be overwhelming, I think, because the gameplay itself moves at quite a pace. I mean, you can see when I'm engaged in fights, if they go to plan, they are over very quickly. Like, there's not protracted long fights like there is in a lot of other Warriors games. Like, you abuse the systems and they are pretty much over in 20 seconds, 30 seconds at a push. Some of the boss fights are more protracted, lasting several minutes, but they can often be shortened if you make good use of, again, the mechanics and elemental weaknesses and like. What are we waiting for? Okay. Oh god, so he just waded in. So yeah, more Persona, never a bad thing. Oh god, he got the ambush on me, so that's what happens when they get the drop on you, you get knocked down. Right, let's blast them with lightning. There we go. So different characters as well, I think one last thing, different characters have different abilities, so like Skull, who I'm playing as at the moment, can charge up massive hits and like break through. What can Makoto do? She can charge her attacks up with nuclear damage, which is her elemental affinity. I really like Makoto, she's an awesome character. She does this awesome kind of flurry of blows, if I can actually get the combo right. And her persona's a motorbike. It's like an angel trapped in a motorbike. Like, she's got the coolest persona. What's going to be here? I think this is mini boss. Maybe this is a good place to kind of wrap it up, actually.
Jail cells? Look at all those prisoners.
So it's full of melodrama and talking about people's hopes, desires, dreams, changes of heart. You know, all that. It carries on the themes of rebelling against those who abuse the system and are corrupt. Like the main game.
No. Considering their behavior, it wouldn't help letting them out now.
They've lost their minds from having their desires stolen.
I'm just going to quickly skip through this and see if we can get to the last fight. So I'll end it on a mini-boss fight. The bosses themselves are full-on, unique encounters, or at least that's the way it's seeming, and much like the main game. Ooh, this is going to be a big fight. But that music, man, they're remixed versions of the music from the main game. Oh, burn. How the hell did I get burned? There we go, got the flurry of blows. So this is one of the bigger fights that I remember, actually. But there's also like little like environmental things you can do there, so you can knock that down and absolutely pile onto them afterwards. So yeah, when the fights do start flying, it gets pretty goddamn hectic in my view. Okay, so you also get the Musou style big hitters. So let's see if we can round up a couple of bad boys. Come on, boys. Come on, Bicons. Showtime. So this is the equivalent of the Musou gauge attacks. And that just clears the field pretty much. Absolutely destroys everything. Oh, I am low on stamina. So what's he? There we go. Just blitz that. So this is kind of one of the mini objectives. You've got to get rid of these towers in these dungeons, these jails as they're known as, and yeah, you unlock them and you get enough of them, you get to the boss, complete the jail. I keep saying palace, but that's not the right game. And you get on to the next one. And I say the progression through time and everything in this game is very much tied to your progress in the story rather than the activities you take and the natural passage of time. So yeah, ultimately, I'm very much repeating myself here now, but this is a fun supplement to Persona 5, Persona 5 Royal. This is not necessarily going to appeal to your Warriors fans instead, but I fall into the former. Big fan of Royal, loved it, probably best JRPG I've played for a long time, and I'm having a good time with this. It's a little bit slow to start, a little bit hand-holdy. It's starting to open up now that it's 10 hours in. But even then, the nostalgia factor, the fact that I'm hanging out with the Phantom Thieves again, certainly did carry me through those slightly stilted early game sections. But yeah, aside from a few issues like the weird kind of walk drag thing where it's kind of doing it there again, and sometimes I find that certain encounters can be a little bit unforgiving. They just kind of pile in and the enemies are doing like all sorts of shit to you before you even know what's going on. Difficulty spikes aside, this is a reasonably good time, and you know that you've probably got an idea of how it plays. This is the meat of the gameplay. The social stuff is very stripped back. So yeah, Persona 5 Strikers out on PlayStation platforms and Switch now.